Welcome back to another Forge College Explainer. First off, huge congratulations. You literally just survived scoping out your Solana Cloud project in our previous lesson, so take a breath, you made it. But right now, it's time to cross back into Ethereum territory. We need to pump the actual fuel that's going to power your capstone report, and that is real-world gas data. So let's just dive right into this, because honestly, without clean, reliable data, any analysis we do later on is going to be completely useless. Okay, here's the master blueprint for our data refinery today. We're going to look at the raw data mess, figure out how to source your data, build a 4-step cleaning pipeline, safely handle missing data, use smart sampling strategies, and finally output a beautifully polished artifact. Let's kick things off with Section 1, the raw data mess. If you have ever looked at raw blockchain data, you know it is basically crude, unrefined oil. It is packed with messy hexadecimals, missing headers, and format inconsistencies that will literally make your spreadsheet crash just by looking at it. So, how do we extract reliable metrics from this absolute chaos? Well, to run a solid statistical analysis for your capstone, we need fields like gasUsed, baseFee, and effectiveGasPrice to be perfectly consistent across your entire sample. We absolutely cannot have one row in GWay, another in WEI, and a third written as some crazy hexadecimal string. It just won't work. Moving right along to Section 2, sourcing your gas data. So there are 3 main places to source this data. And listen, each one has its own distinct trade-offs. First up, you have direct node JSON-RPCs. This is essentially plugging directly into the blockchain's brain. You get the raw, unadulterated receipts and logs, which is amazing for accuracy. But it requires really careful handling of chain reorgs, and you're going to need an archive node if you're looking back in time. Second, we have third-party APIs, like block explorers. Now, these are super convenient, and they often enrich the data for you, but they might aggregate or sample data behind the scenes without even telling you. Finally, we've got public datasets like Google BigQuery. BigQuery is absolutely incredible for historical throughput and massive queries, but it might lack the specific internal call details you need for a deep smart contract analysis. Your choice really just depends entirely on the specific scope of your project. All right, Section 3, the 4-step cleaning pipeline. To process all that crude data, we need a disciplined, mechanical, 4-stage pipeline. Stage 1 is fetching the raw data. Stage 2 is validating the schema. You want it to fail loudly if things are missing. Stage 3 is cleaning and normalizing those values. And Stage 4 is sampling and exporting the exact subset you need. Let's actually break these down a bit. During the fetch and validate stages, you're essentially acting as a bouncer for your database. You absolutely must include block hashes for every single record. Why? Well, because of chain reorgs. Those are the temporary splits in the blockchain where blocks get reorganized. If you fetch receipts right near the head of the chain, a block might get orphaned and dropped. Checking the block hash ensures you have the permanent canonical record. Also, run some quick statistics passes. Check your minimums, maximums, and null counts. If you spot weird, funky distributions, it usually means your collection broke somewhere along the line. Moving into Stage 3, normalization. This is where you have to convert multiple fee representations into a single canonical format. As you know, Ethereum has gone through upgrades, specifically EIP 1559, which means transaction fee structures completely changed. So you have to calculate the effective gas price. For older legacy transactions, it's just the gas price. But for EIP 1559 transactions, you got to do a little bit of math if your source doesn't just hand it to you directly. It's the minimum of the max fee per gas or the base fee plus the max priority fee per gas. Listen, getting this math wrong will totally skew your cost analysis, so double check it. Here's what that transformation looks like in action. See, raw, ugly source data like a gasUsed hex string of 0x5208 or some cryptic epoch timestamp is completely useless to us. But running it through our pipeline, we convert that hex to a readable decimal of 21,000, we compute the effective gas price, and we normalize the timestamp to a beautiful ISO 8601 UTC format. Honestly, this is the difference between a massive headache and having truly analysis-ready data. Next up, Section 4, handling missing data safely. Because let's face it, even the best machines hiccup from time to time. The key to handling missing data is provenance. If a field is missing and you decide to infer it, say you infer a missing base fee by looking at the block header instead of the transaction receipt itself, you must tag it in a provenance column. You're basically leaving a paper trail. You need to be able to explicitly say, hey, I directly observed this data versus I calculated and inferred this data. This is exactly how you defend your decisions during your capstone report review without breaking a sweat. But here is the golden rule when it comes to guessing, 5%. If more than 5% of your rows require imputation or guessing for a central field, stop. Just don't guess. It means your data source is flawed or your query is broken. At that point, you really need to either reduce your project scope or expand your collection effort to find a better data source. Whatever you do, do not build an entire analysis on a foundation of 10% guesswork. Okay, Section 5, Smart Sampling Strategies. So your data's finally clean, but you probably have way too much of it. Your sampling strategy actually has to reflect what you're trying to prove. If you need to show daily behavior, use time-stratified sampling. Just grab an equal number of transactions per day. If you need to show performance across different network conditions, use fee-stratified sampling. That's where you grab data from low, median, and peak fee percentiles. And if you're looking at something like a highly active DEX router, you really need block offset subsampling. You definitely don't want to accidentally grab 500 transactions from a single crazy block and assume that represents the whole week. We want to completely avoid that volume bias. Finally, Section 6, the final polished artifact. All right, we've fetched, validated, cleaned, and sampled. For your capstone, you aren't just delivering a feeling, right? You're delivering 3 concrete artifacts. First, a perfectly cleaned CSV sample. Second, a normalization comparison table, just like the one we looked at earlier, that documents your exact transformations. And third, a pipeline README detailing your query parameters, your source endpoints, and the rules you applied. This basically proves your work is completely reproducible. And you might be asking, why are we doing all of this? Well, because these 3 artifacts are the exact fuel required for our next lesson. In analysis techniques and cost-saving comparisons, we're going to take this pristine CSV, run rigorous statistical tests, and compute the actual real-world cost savings of your optimizations. I want to leave you with this final thought. If bad data leads to expensive, irreversible mistakes on-chain, what is your excuse for not cleaning it properly in your analysis? Kind of makes you think, right? Keep that in mind as you finalize your data artifacts. A huge thank you for joining this Forge College Explainer. Please remember to visit forge.college to dive deeper into this subject, grab the templates for this capstone, and master way more Web3 related topics. I'll see you in the data refinery.